Hello, welcome to another video. My name is Adam, and in today's video, well, it finally happened to me. One moment I was flying in P3D about to record a video. I shut down the sim, I start it back up, and it won't load. Oh dear. Like, it just would not load. Well, guess what? I've had to reinstall my sim. So here, this is where my main C drive is. This is a storage drive, and I've deleted everything off to do with P3D. Okay, now, as you can see, I've still got a few things on here. This is to do with FSX or Microsoft Flight. So, but this is how much space. Usually, these drives only have about 50 gig each spare. So that's how much space my entire P3D system took up. I mean, we're talking about 700 to 800 gig. And to be honest, there's still quite a lot of it still on here. These were symbolically linked, and I will relink them when we start loading stuff up. But I thought this is a good opportunity to check out the various stages of P3D. Now, I haven't installed any aircraft. This is what you get with the version I've got. I've changed the default airport to my hometown of Birmingham. We're gonna load in the sim, so we're not only gonna see how long it takes, but we're gonna see exactly what it looks like with a default. I haven't touched anything. I haven't reconfigured my P3D file. In fact, the options will quickly just go. In fact, I will actually sort of get rid of that. Yep. Do that. That's fine. We will actually reconfigure some of this. So we don't want that. We don't want that. Don't want that. Brakes can stay. Pause can stay. Overspeed don't want to hear. We want to hear about it and rather than see it. Top right corner. Well, actually, I'll take that. See what happens. We don't want to see vehicle labels. Let's have a female. See what happens there. We don't want user tips, scenario captions, or message text. My default sound, we put the cockpit to 100. I want to leave the rest, and voice actually. We'll have that at 100. In fact, we'll have that at 75. Actually, have that at 100. Everything but the engines. Traffic is all, there's nothing there. Realism, ignore crashes and damage. Visualize G effects, momentum effects. Ignore weight. Yeah, I don't want to ignore anything really. Enable gyro. Causes the heading indicator to drift. I don't know. Right, so this is it. Basically, this is what it comes default as. It's been so long since I've done this. So we're going to bring up the frames. Get 60 frames. Look at that. Beautiful. And we are at Birmingham now. If Chase Plane hasn't even loaded. To be honest, even though I didn't delete Chase Plane off the computer, it hasn't loaded. So this is default camera viewpoints, and that's default Birmingham Airport right there, and that's default buildings. I haven't even loaded Orbex in yet, so all this stuff is default. So let's go flying and let's see what happens. Hopefully, actually, let me just double check that all my control configs, because I think I might have to readjust a few things. Elevator, yes. Rudder, slider, throttle, lovely. Buttons, that's what I want. Buttons, where's the buttons? Yeah, we want, what is it? Landing gear. Landing It's landing gear. Right, button 10. Just to double check, button 4. Right. Okay, so that's the landing gear. Yeah, that's the only thing I'm going to change. Nothing's been configured on here, so I need to reconfigure it. Right, as long as I got my landing gear, that's fine. I don't even know what the view, what the zoom view is here. But okay, let's go and check it out. Birmingham, this doesn't look like Birmingham at all, to be honest. I don't know what this is, but anyway, let's take off. Gear up. And let's have a look around. Look at that! Oh my gosh! It looks like someone's been sick everywhere. And these dots of red and the trees are so... This just looks like FSX. This is embarrassing for 64-bit sim. The clouds look okay. Clouds don't look too bad. But that's... yeah, that's not good. So that's what... This is what... gosh, well, we need to get some light here. Let's go up to 10,000. There we go. So this is what thingy. This is what you call it. Lockheed Martin are happy with you having straight out the box for training purposes. Now, granted, we're getting 60 frames, and VSync I don't even believe was turned on. So that's really funny. But yeah. As you can see, the CPU and GPU aren't even sweating at. They're not even going at half the percentage that they can do. My memory clock speed, you know, it is overclocked anyway, so that's why that is. Even my memory, look at that. We're only using 2.6 gig of memory. So yeah. My CPU, my GPU, just, yeah, this is fine, dandy, this is. In fact, if we unticked in my NVIDIA settings the vertical sync, we would get a lot more frames per second. So if I took this off and applied it, dare I say, next time we restart, there we go, it's going above 60. I just want to see how high it does go. So let's take off 80 frames a second. Now see, the problem is, right, I'm recording this video at 60 frames a second, so even though it says 80 on the screen, you're only seeing 60 of them, because encoding, the recording of this video is only capturing 60, and plus now we have flickering, which is interesting. We didn't have before. I'm going to have an epileptic fit in a minute. There we go, we're going up to 120 now. We're going to go up to the sky of 10,000, and the higher I climb, the higher my frames climb. What is that all about? Right, okay, almost at 10,000, we'll call that 10,000. There we go, gosh, we're going to have 500 miles an hour. Right, so, oh gosh, that camera whips around with that. So there we go, we get over 100 miles an hour, but, do you know what I mean? It doesn't do it any favors, really, because this doesn't look any different than it did before. We get flickering, like flashes, so it looks like we're in a disco, and it's no smoother really. I mean, maybe a little smoother, I don't know, but this does no benefit to us whatsoever. So we're going to shut the sim down like that. I'm going to put that back onto half refresh. Now the reason I use adaptive half refresh rate is basically because if I did it to just on, it would try and achieve 60 frames a second full stop, no matter what. And if it couldn't achieve 60 frames a second because of the computer can't keep up, then you start getting stutters, you start getting problems in the sim. So basically I get it to lock to half of my refresh rate. Now it only does this if in the sim I actually say that as well, because as you remember here we have got VSync off and it's set to unlimited, so it's going to be what my monitor is, which is 60. Now if I was to go into here and actually put that to on and click it, it should probably still stay 60. Yep. But I don't expect it to push to that high. I mean, let's go for a flight and let's see what happens. I don't try and push my thingies, because as you can see, look, my graphics card and my CPU are still haven't risen above 50% yet. But as I start to load stuff in, they will. As I start to load in Orbex, you know, the mesh, and all this other stuff, those values of my CPU and GPU are going to start to rise as my frames per second falls. And that's basically because my computer can't display the sim world at the 60 frames a second that I'm asking it to, so it has to drop frames. And the only way you ever are going to enjoy your sim, I believe, is if you have a smooth experience. Whoa, we're up to 12,000 here. Is if you have a smooth experience, you know, if it's non-stuttering. And the only way you can do that is to find some sort of what's the word? Middle ground, or, you know, between your frames and your PC. It is possible to have a very low spec PC and still get smooth performance, because you only need 24 to 25 frames a second for your eyes to perceive that as fluid, natural, smooth motion. You don't need 60, you don't need 100, okay? You don't even really need 30. Now, I go for 30 myself because simply I want to record these at 60. Like, this is being recorded at 60 and in the sim at 60. So you're seeing exactly what is being recorded at, what the sim is actually being displayed at. But in the future, that frames per second is going to drop down to 30, which is half of 60, of course. And that's just an easy, when I re-encode these videos to put on YouTube at 60 frames a second, it simply means all the video encoder has to do is double every frame, and it's still going to be smooth. You know, when you watch it on YouTube, it's smooth for me in the sim at 30 frames a second as well, and it will still be smooth when you watch it on YouTube. And that's only because I do this thing of this relationship between the frames in the second for the sim and what my monitor is set at, and what my graphics card setting is also set at. So anyway, that's the park. That there is actually the park, Sutton Park, where I live by. That's pretty cool that that's represented even in the default scene. But this is all Birmingham here. I mean, this looks like really weird. I mean, it is autumn. Excuse me, it is autumn. But it's still, it's okay, I guess. You know? I mean, are these buildings though? Let's shoot down and let's see if these are actually buildings. I might just black out. Are these 3D buildings down here, or is this just a map? See, as you get lower, you realize, oh, that's just a map with a couple of 3D buildings on it. Not as impressive as it did look from up high, where I thought they were this is what it looks like. Now we're going to go into the sim, out of the sim, sorry, into a new scenario, and before we head back into the sim, we're now going to reconfigure this. Now I have already got settings, so it will be here, so there we go. So we want daytime. There we go, 4 off, 30. I'm going to put that to unlimited to see what happens. Do yes, yes. Okay, it was on medium. High, yes. Yes, yes. Weather, yes. There we go. Coming back slowly. Oh, just in time. First of all, to crash. Let's get up. Where's all my gauges going? Everything's coming back slowly. There we go. See, now the problem is, yeah, my computer at the moment, as you can see, the CPU and GPU are a little bit more elevated. Scenery down there looks a lot better, looks a lot sharper, and slightly more realistic than it did before. As you can see, my viewpoint is a bit further back as well, by the looks of it. Let's zoom this a bit. Oh, we can't zoom it up. Okay, well, I still achieve 60 frames a second with this viewpoint. There we go, that's better. Oh, look at that, it's the G-force effect, that's why. Right, okay. So I still achieve 60 frames a second, even though I've now had these settings are the ones I actually run my sim on. And my GPU is definitely gone up. You know, it's at 50-60% now, whereas before I think it was like 25. There's a lot more going on in the sim, and it does look a lot better. Now I'm going to go away and I'm going to put in chase plane, and we're going to slowly build up this sim in this video. Okay? We'll see you in a moment. Okay, welcome back, and I've installed chase plane now, so that's what I am using. So we head back into the sim. As you can see, we move around a bit more fluid, but I have noticed we're not on 60 frames a second, so, which is very strange. Installing chase plane has made my frames worse. But to be honest, for what you do get for it, it's definitely something I want to keep. So it looks like we will be matching 30 frames a second with our configuration file after all. Hasn't changed anything really in the sim, everything is still as is. It's more to do with the camera movements and the avatar than anything else. We're achieving 60 now as I leave the ground. Right, here we go. Yeah, moving the camera is definitely a lot weirder. Everything's still the same. So that's what it looks like. See, to me, this looks a little jerky now. After doing the 60 frames, and now I've put the chase plane in, it now has a jerky feel to it. So, to combat this, what we're going to do is we're going to lock our frames at 30 frames a second. Well, 31. And what this does, there we go, and there we go, that is a lot more smoother than it was before, and I'm sure in the video it does feel that way as well. Just get to 29 and stuff like that, so there we go. So there we have it. Right, there we go. So the next thing I'm going to be installing now is PTA, and see how that changes the world. So we'll see in a moment. Okay, so we're back in the sim, and I've added a few more things. Most notably, we've added blue and black marble, and a few other add-ons like Stargazer. Still haven't put any weather in, so all this is still default clouds that we're looking in the sim. And you know, it's looking okay. It's looking a little better. But one thing, let's ascend up a little bit here, get some heights. Because the one thing that I've done also is I've again tweaked my settings to accommodate for the night lighting that I'm about to activate. So what we see down here below is it's prepared, ready, and not, when I say prepared, I don't mean P3D. The scenery is prepared and waiting for the nighttime, which I'm about to activate now. I don't know why it's going down. The frames are going very low. It might be because I'm going very fast, and it's having trouble rendering. I'm not really sure. I'm gonna have to look into that. I've still got a few tweaks to my CFG, P3D CFG, that I haven't applied yet, so we might find some problems here and there. But let's have a look at the night lighting now and see what difference this has made. So I haven't added any Orbex down there at all. So what we see down here is non-Orbex still, which is looking okay. When we play with the nighttime, so in the sky, as you see up here, we've got Stargazer, and then, you know, looking down here, we've got both black marble, which seems to be having a little bit of trouble coming through by the looks of it, and also a third-party smart sim lights as well. So the night lighting, to be honest, the night lighting, I think I might need to look into this, because it's not showing as it should be, to be honest. So, but this is the visual difference. I've also added PTA, so there's some shaders going on as well. 15 frames, something's going on here. I don't know why we're getting 15 frames. I need to have a look at this. But this is how the sim is progressing. And in fact, this is just before I'm about to install the FS Global Ultimate Next Generation Mesh. So we're still using default mesh now. I don't think you're going to really see any difference in Birmingham, because it's all flat land. So why don't we change this to the same airport that you saw in the Microsoft Flight Simulator demo. We are actually taking off,
short runway,
and we will be heading in the exact same direction. So as you can see, the elevation around here, there are mountains. Let's get in the air. There are mountains, and there are issues with the frame rate. Might be because I've got the preview mode on, but here's the lake that they flew over. Let's get some heights. Gosh, this thing wants to move. My life. We are rocking. Right, here we go. Let's slow this sucker down. We're at 10,000 feet. Blood is rushing to our head. And as you can see down below, this is the Seattle Renton area in Redmond, Washington. And that's... I don't think that's the airport we just took off from. I don't know what that is. But you can see the water. The water looks kind of funky. The water looks a bit... almost like it has waves. There's airports surrounding us. There's a lot of landscape here. And there was some hills off the distance here, so we are going to check them out. Here we are, there they are. Now, let's check out our night lighting in America. That looks a little bit better, doesn't it? Yeah. Very nice. Very nice indeed. That's what it should look like. There we go. So, that's the night sky. That's the lighting below. And down here somewhere are the hills. Now, we're going to go for a little fly along these hills because we want to... This is all default mesh that you see, and what I mean by default mesh basically is that... oh, hello. Little PBR texturing here. I didn't notice that one before. Basically, the mesh is what makes everything bumpy. It defines the mountains, the hills, the valleys, all the lumps and bumps in the terrain. And then, of course, the texturing is what is put on top of that mesh. You know, like a wig. And the textures with P3D are, you know, not very good at best when you compare it with other third-party sceneries. Now, some of these textures are actually blue earth. Some of these forest textures, and what makes it green. So a lot of this greenery we see is actually blue earth, but most of it is just default. So as you can see, it's just like, yeah, it's okay, you know. And the contouring of the hills, although, you know, it does look okay, we just remember this viewpoint, because I'm going to go away and I'm going to install FS Global Mesh, which basically has 1 centimeter per pixel mesh everywhere, or 1 meter, I think it is, sorry, 1 meter, not 1 centimeter, 1 meter per pixel mesh in the entire world, whereas I think Seattle has something like, might be 35 centimeters or 36 centimeters, but this is going to become a lot more detailed in a mo. So I'm going to go away, I'm going to install that, and then I'll come right back and we'll see where we are. Alright?